Hello, everyone. Can being poor for years actually change your brain? A new study says yes, and the effects last decades. Researchers in Britain followed a massive group of people, more than 2,700 of them, all born in the same month, March of 1946. That means every single person in this study is now around 80 years old. And here's what makes this research so powerful. These people didn't just answer a survey once. Scientists tracked their health, their finances, and their life circumstances for decades, from their 20s all the way into old age. What they found is troubling. People who spent their mid-20s through their early 50s in the poorest 20% of the group performed worse on cognitive tests later in life. Their memory was weaker, their thinking speed was slower, and it wasn't just about being poor once. People who reported struggling to pay their bills at least twice during their late 30s or 40s also showed worse cognitive outcomes years down the road. Now, you might wonder, maybe this is just about childhood disadvantage. Maybe people who grew up poor already had cognitive differences before adulthood even began. But the researchers accounted for that. They controlled for childhood disadvantage, education levels, and even childhood cognitive scores. And the effect was still there. That strongly suggests something was happening during adulthood itself. That ongoing financial stress year after year was leaving a mark on the brain. Interestingly, the study found something that sounds almost backwards at first. Later in life, cognitive decline actually slowed down more for the financially stressed group compared to their wealthier peers. But the researchers have a troubling explanation for that. They believe the damage had already happened earlier, so there was simply less decline left to measure. In other words, the brain had already absorbed the worst of the impact. One expert who wasn't involved in the study, a professor from the University of Michigan, raised another haunting possibility. She wondered whether the people who suffered the most severe stress-related health problems, things like heart disease or cancer, may have already died in their 50s or 60s before they could even be measured in later cognitive testing. If that's true, the real damage caused by poverty could be even worse than what shows up in the data. So what actually connects poverty to a struggling brain? The lead researcher, a sociologist from University College London, explained that financial stress can trigger harmful inflammation in the body. It also consumes mental and emotional energy, cognitive space, that would otherwise go toward memory, focus, and problem solving. On top of that, financial stress is often linked to behaviors like smoking and drinking, which independently affect brain health. The tricky part is untangling how much of the damage comes directly from stress itself versus these related behaviors. But here's the key finding that makes this study different from earlier research. Because scientists had decades of data on the same individuals, they could see exactly when brain-related changes began to appear, and it wasn't until these people reached their 50s. That timing matters. It suggests the poverty came first, and the cognitive decline followed, not the other way around. As the lead researcher put it, this gives them a real, measurable biological marker that something happened over the course of these people's lives. Now, does this mean there's a simple fix? Something individuals experiencing financial hardship can do to protect their brains? Unfortunately, the researchers say it's not that simple. There's no clear personal action plan that emerges from this data. But there is a bigger message here, one aimed less at individuals and more at policymakers. If financial hardship really does contribute to long-term cognitive decline, then reducing poverty isn't just an economic issue. It could be a public health strategy. Fighting poverty earlier in life might mean fewer cases of memory loss, slower thinking, and even dementia decades later. So the next time someone downplays financial stress as something people should just push through, remember this research. The mind carries the weight of money struggles, sometimes for the rest of a person's life. If you found this breakdown interesting, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more science and health stories that actually matter.